I don't know. This book costs. He comes up. He came in. We have a lot of old. But they're not going in that. Oh, yeah, because you have. Yeah, I got right up here. I couldn't find his card. So the more about it.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I'm sorry, I didn't know that was supposed to do that, so I just told her that was to be done. Or to like, on a house.
What did you explain to him?
Yeah.
Yeah, so next time, I should have.
So I'm
faces, like remember faces for those names and stuff. Something unusual sometimes.
So the first one, when I go away, he's very interested with things. He needs to be the area manager, to determine what it doesn't allow. So, roll call, Joseph Michaels. Pete Johnson.
Here.
Gary Guglielmi.
Here.
And Mark Rooney.
Here.
Others present.
Present these to the board of the state. You can, yes. don't see them here. They're asking for an area variance in a house that's right on Route 28. And they want to put up a fence, and they would like to put up a 6-foot fence. And I told them that they would need a variance to get a 6-foot fence. So they were prepared to come. I don't know why they haven't shown up.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything from them.
Yeah.
No calls, no letters, no anything. They knew they were coming from the board meeting as well.
So that's what that was all about. And Howard Rudzinski, represented by Don Brewer, and he's looking for an area variance as well, side yard setback.
Yeah, well, we'll table that one, the Malloy, and she shows up and,
Okay.
Waninsky?
Rudzinski, Howard Rudzinski.
Are we still submitting this form to the board members?
That's
For-
old.
No, I understand this one is, but
Right.
I mean for each one of these upcoming cases.
I honestly,
What was the question, Mark?
No, I'm asking, are we still going to be receiving one of these forms that was filled out for
We should.
every applicant? Delineating what the variance
The
is.
variance, yes,
for.
they should have. He was gonna, we gave him the application, he was gonna bring it tonight with one check, but
You don't have the information,
he
okay?
didn't show up.
But just so you know, we're expecting this form for every applicant, so we can quickly see
so you know what you, okay.
what they're asking for, what the actual code says, and how much of a variance they're asking
Oh,
for.
okay.
So that should be coming to every applicant, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And I assume this is in your office.
yeah, I just, again, I didn't know, yes, this is my first meeting, so.
Okay, understood.
Thank you.
So, we'll move away. So, we did see.
Don Brewer is representing.
Hello.
Hello.
We get something that's been a while. Machine here yard, I'm not sure if you got one or not. Okay. Story as far as I know, this is, back in summer of 2015.
One more.
Summer of 2015, Mr. Wadinsky's wife wanted him to fix up the shed in the back so she could have what she calls a she shed. She wanted a spot of her own to have exercise equipment and do her yoga and whatever. And so he tore up the shed that was there and made it a little bigger. And fixed it up really nice for her. And then recently he's come before the planning board. He wants to do a boundary line adjustment with his neighbor. And he found out from the building department that the shed's in violation of the setbacks. So that's why he's here to get see if he can get a variance on that. The previous shed was too close to the property line, and now the newer shed that he's got built there is a little even closer.
Yeah.
It's 1.3 feet in that one corner, as it shows there.
It's 15 inches.
Pardon?
Like 15 inches.
Yeah,
No, 1 foot 3 inches is 15 inches.
You got your bottom of bank, what's,
15 inches.
what's below,
What's on the other side of the property line?
it's a,
Looks like nothing.
yeah, it's like a drop-off type of thing. That's why, and he's, the neighbor behind him is actually the one he's getting the boundary line adjustment for his, because he wants to build an addition on the house. That neighbor's, he's not concerned about that at all because it's used, it's just a drop off there.
So the dotted line is what, the present property line?
Yeah, that's, yeah.
And, okay, he's asking to extend that to the solid line?
Yeah. This is, back to the, Hallenbeck property where, there's little strips of property in between lots that are all screwy looking, and that's what we have here.
Yeah.
So what are you asking for today for the?
I don't know.
Variance of the shed.
There's no violation, or he didn't issue a violation.
Well, the history of it is, it was never a building permit, it was never any inspections, and he came in to me with this, application to put an extension on the existing house, and I said, whoa, you have a building that's has never been inspected, it's too close to the neighbor, and you're gonna have to start asking for area variance. So that's how it got here. I think in the file there's a picture of what the former and the present.
Yeah.
So we're not concerned with the extension of the lot lines today?
No,
No, that's planning.
that's planning board.
Okay.
And that's the file.
I guess we have to hold a public hearing anyway, right?
Yeah. Yes, you have to. Yeah, I don't see it. It's been there, how long has it been there?
Since 2015.
2015, and then before that, there was a smaller shed.
Smaller shed.
So apparently there haven't been any complaints between now and then.
No one has complained, but
Yeah.
like I said, he never filed for a building permit.
Mm-hmm.
And, there were never any inspections, so there was no CO, no certificate of compliance, I should say.
Do they need one for a shed?
Yeah.
For even 8 by 10 or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's got heat, air conditioning, electric.
How big is the footprint?
I don't know, but
You know.
It's, supposed to be about 30 feet by 15.
30? Okay, substantial. I know she sheds
Yeah,
stuff.
it's a little less than 30.
yeah, I'd say it's probably 16 by 24, I guess.
A little more than a shed.
So it's more than 140 square feet, so we need to have a building permit. And it was supposed to be 25 feet from the boundary line, so he needs an area variance.
Yeah.
So the first step would be the variance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't see any problem. There hasn't been a problem up to now.
No, the neighbor hasn't complained, but I think it has to go for a public hearing.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, no, it wouldn't be a giveaway. You gotta run the steps.
We might as well set the public hearing.
Yeah. So, schedule a public hearing
Yes.
here next month. Sounds like a
Next
sweet
month's
meeting.
meeting.
So I'll make a motion, we let it go to public hearing.
I second it.
And is that at 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock
7 o'clock.
next
Yeah, I
month.
don't know, does she have to make out the envelopes? Is she doing?
She'll take care of that.
So we have a motion, all in favor? Get a motion?
All in favor? You can take a roll call.
You're aware, we have to do this.
Yeah.
Probably do this.
So what's next for these? First public hearing, and then.
Someone makes a motion for a public hearing?
Keith made a motion for public hearing.
And then Gary second.
Gary seconded it, and it was unanimously voted. So that needs to go to the newspaper and the website.
Yeah, the surrounding neighbors will be notified.
So
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. See you next month.
Okay, Chuck Perez was supposed to be here tonight for determination on his, service station, which I
according to our zoning code, is considered to be a junkyard. And I'm surprised that he didn't show up tonight. He had 52 cars, now it's down to 32. And his argument is that he is grandfathered in. I don't have to make the case for him, he should be doing that.
Yeah, well, even, I looked into it somewhat, and he has a potential pre-existing non-conforming, because I think the building may itself proceed zoning. I'm not sure.
Well, we have a code for established junkyards.
Well, yeah, no, what I was gonna say is even if it's a repair shop, he still has to follow the regulations
Yes.
as to the number of vehicles.
Well, it's no longer a repair shop, I haven't seen, but our zoning code for junkyard says that any pre-existing junkyard must conform to the regulation
Right.
of having a fence 10 foot high to conceal the cars.
Right.
So I tried to get him to go in that direction, but he's not wanting to.
Yeah.
So we were gonna have a determination tonight, that's what that was all about. And I did give him an appearance ticket.
So he has a standing violation now?
Yes.
Yes.
So if there's no repair facility, this is strictly a
I
storage?
went over there one day and the bays were open and the lights were all on. I thought I'd see him. And there's so much equipment inside the bays that you couldn't pull a car in.
Equipment?
He had all kinds of equipment and parts. And outside he has a sort of a portable lift
Yeah.
that he has a car jacked up on. It's been up for about 2 or 3 months. And looks like a dangerous situation to me. But he seems to be determined that he's going to be non-conforming, pre-existing.
Well, that may well be, but he still has to comply.
Yes.
Yeah, I have something else I want to bring up, but he actually repairs my car along with a load of people from Alabama. I mean, he's been doing that for years. I take my car down there all the time. I have house up in Davis.
Okay, thank you.
I do want to mention, my name is Wallace Flood, and I have had a house up there for 40 years. My parents are 60. And the beginning of Hundred Road, there are 2 properties there, 33 and 34, owned by the Evans family, and it's a complete disgrace. Garbage continues to flow down the road. I mean, we're talking junkyard. I mean, this is like a major
They've been
junkyard.
cited, he's been cited.
They've been cited more than 7 times by Warren. Okay, and I was
gave him
told
a
by,
ticket. I gave him a ticket.
oh, you got it, well, that's great, that's what I
I
wanted to
brought him
know.
to court.
Because it's been so many times, and they even had electrical wire going across the road to power the property at the top. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, it's like completely ridiculous.
Oh, this is the very, very beginning of all of your.
Right, just past the store. I mean, it's just a blight on the community on both sides. So that's why when we complain about people like Chuck Perez, who helped us out during, I mean, Irene, we were all stuck in, he works for the fire department. He is a fixture in the community. So that's why I had to put my 2 cents in. Thank you.
Well, we really can't make a decision until he's here to defend himself, or, so.
Yeah, we did have a petition signed by probably close to 3 dozen people. I haven't looked at the petition, by the Big Indian Restoration group. And there were about 36 signatures. And they called out Chuck Perez, Bob Evans, who was on 34 Oliveria Road,
Yeah.
and also Ian,
Crookshank.
who has Ian Crookshank, who has the store right on the base of Oliveria Road that he started to do some work on. And he has boarded it up, but it's still in a precarious position.
Yeah.
These are all different cases.
Yes.
Concerning Chuck Perez, he's asking for a use variance? Or?
Chuck Perez is maintaining, now I don't want to speak for him, but he's maintaining that he's a pre-existing non-conforming use.
I guess it is a possibility, but
It is,
even
yes.
still, he has to comply.
Mhm.
he has to comply with the regulations and rules there are.
Yeah.
You know,
And when he had 52 cars there was no room to put any more.
Well, there's a whole section on junkyards in the zoning code.
Yes, if you look on the junkyard definition, any more than 2 unregistered or, not roadworthy vehicles is considered a junkyard.
We can do that.
And this has nothing to do with Chuck's reputation. He has an excellent reputation.
No, I realize that. I went through the same thing a few years ago with a contractor shop. So I know where it's going.
Yeah, it's straight on the road.
Yeah, so basically, we can't really make a determination one way or the other.
So do we reschedule him for the next zoning board meeting?
That would be up to him, I think.
He has to initiate the scheduling.
Oh, okay.
Well, we can't force him.
Right. He hasn't even answered the violations or anything. That's why.
No, he just came to speak to me about it.
All right, this will go to Mr. Ponce.
Another piece of paper.
It'll just.
Give us your background, Mr.
That's right. They want the history.
Okay, I think what Andrew needs is a use variance. It's a residential R3 area. As I can see, and as I've been told by neighbors, he brings in old military style Jeeps and I guess refurbishes them. That's what I've been told. So I'm seeing there's a couple of places in our bulk regulations. One is on page 1646, and it's code 16-10, automobile equipment rental or sales. It's not permitted in the R5, R3, R1.5, or Hamlet residential, or Hamlet commercial, or Hamlet business. It's not permitted in any of those.
That's what our five or our three.
He's R3.
R3.
Yeah. I also see he has, which is not permitted in any district, unenclosed storage of junk cars and parts and other materials. So that could be anything. And then also the possibility of automobile service station, including car wash, is also not permitted in any of those districts. So I think what he's claiming that he doesn't sell the cars, but I have information from neighbors other than that. And I'm asking the ZBA to make a determination whether he's allowed a change of use.
Can you give me those code numbers again?
Sure. It's 1610, it's the bulk regulations. So page 11645, that's the automobile service station. And then on the next page, it's 116.46, This is the continuation of the bulk regulations.
We also have 11644.
11644, what was that one? No, this is the one. The other one is on 116-44, retail business or service not otherwise specified.
There's 1644 or 116?
11644.
The previous one was 1610.
Do you want me to read them one by one?
1610 is
In the zone.
actual zoning code, yes.
Do you
It's a little confusing.
What was the other one you had?
116, 1610 and 11644.
Do you want me to read them?
Yeah, okay.
They're all part of 1610, which is the bulk regulation. The other numbers I gave you were the page numbers. Sometimes it's easier to find them that way.
Gary, do you have a copy of it? Or do you need it?
No. They'll read it, they'll read it.
We also have
No, I've seen it.
Oh, okay, sorry.
a violation of the International Property Maintenance Code, which is part of the International 2015 Building Code. And section 302, motor vehicles. It says that you're not allowed to have any cars in disrepair, unregistered.
Okay.
I could read it for you if you want.
Go ahead.
Okay, motor vehicles, 302.8. Except as provided for in other regulations, no inoperative or unlicensed motor vehicle shall be parked, kept, stored on any premises, and no vehicle shall at any time be in a state of major disassembly, disrepair, or in the process of being stripped or dismantled. Painting of vehicles is prohibited unless conducted inside an approved spray booth. Now, Andrew has applied for a building permit to put up a substantial structure, which he claims he's going to be able to move all of his cars inside. But there's still a change of use, which involves restoring older vehicles on site. He claims to me that he doesn't sell them, but I see that it's impossible. There's just too many cars to go in there.
Big collection.
So that's why Andrew is here tonight.
Are you Mr. Posick?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
So what is, you issued him a violation,
I sent a violation letter, yes,
and the violation is for what?
for having, unenclosed storage of junk vehicles, cars, parts, or other materials, automobile equipment rental or sales, and automobile service station, and also a retail business. None of those are allowed in an R3.
How long have you owned that property anyway?
Since 1968. And this is a hobby of mine for about 40 years, 35, 40 years. I've prepared a little statement.
You wanted to get it by the
Come on, let's go up there. Let's go up.
Just
Introduce yourself, sorry.
being video.
Oh, sure.
I'm sorry.
Okay, members of the board. This is my attorney, Mark Law. May I read this short statement?
Absolutely, please.
Well, as you all very well know, my name is Andrew Ponsick. I'm a 4-year resident of Woodland Valley Road in Phoenicia. During most of this time, my hobby has been collecting old cars, especially World War II Jeeps. Generally, I use my talents to preserve historical vehicles that I used in various functions such as Memorial Day, Veterans Day parades, and other activities. I feel it's important to commemorate our veterans and to keep their memory alive by preserving the equipment that they use. I'm sure there are community veterans who are thrilled to know that I'm preserving something that commemorates their efforts. I've submitted pictures and a letter from Phoenicia coordinator Winston Bernstein supporting and appreciating the efforts I put into the preservation and use of my collectibles. As with any hobby, I buy, repair, store, and unfortunately sometimes have to thin out my collection. I'm in no way different from any collector, be it furniture to old tractors. Dry indoor storage has always been my goal, given the fragile nature of what I collect. In preparation for delivery of a new steel building, I've gone ahead and dismantled decrepit buildings and huts that used to store part of my collection. None of my immediate neighbors have ever expressed any dissatisfaction with the way I keep my property, and mostly everyone says that my property is a welcome asset to the Woodland Valley community. I have not participated in any activity that would be detrimental to the environment or to my surrounding neighborhood. I have never received any notice of violation or complaints from my neighbors in 35 years of doing this. I have preemptively submitted letters of recommendation from all of my surrounding neighbors to support my statements. Although professional engineering plans have been submitted to the building department and accepted, Mr. McGowan has chosen to delay my approval for 2 months and instead within that time period issue me violations. I feel that his personal bias against my family is the true cause of his actions. I've never been a used car dealer, nor do I operate a junkyard. I do not repair vehicles commercially. I don't have a car wash. The collectible and rare vehicles that I keep and store are worth many thousands of dollars and are by no means junk, according to any definition that you would consider. You saw pictures of it. I'm here asking permission to put up a 30 by 50 storage building, not a workshop, storage building on our property to keep my collectibles out of the weather and hidden out of sight, which they are now anyways, but I figure that is a even greater step for preserving long-term. It's going to increase the tax base, increase my property value, a step in the right direction, I thought.
Where is your property on Woodland Valley?
It's 860, right after Thornhill Bridge,
Okay.
862 Woodland Valley Road, 866. It's like 7 lots contiguous all the way.
On the right-hand side.
On the right-hand side with the split rail fence,
Okay,
all the trees planted so you can't see anything.
got it.
That's.
Okay.
As such, I respectfully ask the board to make a recommendation that Mr. McGowan issue the building permit and dismiss the violations that have been issued. Thank you.
Thank you.
When you have a chance.
Yes.
My name is Mark Miller, I'm an attorney. There's some confusion, it seems, as to why we're here. We haven't asked for it. This is unusual. The issue here is a dilatory delay of issuing a valid building permit. And probably we need an interpretation from you that one can be issued. There is no violation on this property. Okay? And none has ever been cited. This is not an appearance ticket. There were no specifics or anything that one could use to defend it. So this is done after the fact, and it doesn't even meet the standard of an
What are you
appearance.
holding up to us?
This is what the letter we received. I think we have this. That's not an appearance letter. There is no citation for a violation. There is no specifics. There is no reason in the world to withhold a valid permit that has nothing to do with anything based upon possible violations being cited in the future. That is not the way it's played out. 1. 2. This is probably a pre-existing use. This has been going on before there was even a building code. 3. It's a private hobby. He doesn't sell the amount of cars required to call it car sales. He sells a car here and there, maybe 1 or 2 every year or 2.
Well, actually, in New York State, you're allowed to sell
5.
5
Yeah,
vehicles.
he doesn't sell 5 a year.
Without being considered a dealer. When you
Okay.
exceed that, then
The advertisements,
You don't.
the advertisements he puts in the paper and Craigslist and stuff, don't talk about sales. He's been running those ads for forever, and they're about, he'd like to buy Jeeps.
I have copies of the ads from the One Digest, from
Yeah.
Craigslist, that I am always looking for an antique Jeep.
There is no reason to deny the permit. It's likely a pre-existing use, one. Two, he's not asking for anything that requires anything beyond. Three, even if you took this as being a appearance letter, which it's not, it's against a different property. The violation is not on this property. It's owned by different ownership. Yeah,
And the way I
Property
feel,
this is
owned
being
by-
built on a property that's owned by him and his father. The cars are not even there. They're on another property. Okay?
So in other words, the purpose of a garage is just to store vehicles?
Yeah, which would, and he took down the buildings, the sheds, some of the sheds that he had stored the buildings in, so he had the cars out. They're not on this property, they're on another property. And he was preparing to put, so the cure is actually the issuing of the permit.
the cure would be to put up a garage so there wouldn't be a future violation.
Yeah, and so this is ridiculous.
It's a catch-22.
So the garage is on a different,
The building solved the problem.
Then the cars are even stored, and we've got pictures of that. So, I mean, but there's no violation cited anyway. This is not meet the standard.
So what was the reason for the refusal of building permit?
There was none, except he was delaying.
Wait a second,
and-
it's my
I
turn
have
to
to
speak. My turn to speak now.
I just asked it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Andrew came in and applied for a building permit, and I told him he would first need to apply for a zoning permit, and that the policy would be to mark out the location of the new structure, and then I would come out and assure that it meets the setbacks in the zoning district. Never heard from him again after that. Okay, I called him, he came into the office, I said, Andrew, I cited him all of these things that I cited to you, and I suggested he come to the ZBA for a determination.
Well, no, that's
That's not what you said.
that's not true.
That's not
I
what you
came to your office, you said the application is complete, but you have a
Do you have a
violation.
zoning permit?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a zoning permit?
You clearly said, I'm not approving the building.
Excuse me, you weren't in the
Because you have a
office. You weren't
violation.
in the office.
All right,
The-
so,
I came into the office to see why the application was delayed 2 months.
all right, so now we're all here, so let's try and
Yes.
make
So,
it.
I had,
resolved.
Kerry call, because he had moved, there were about 4 or 5, maybe 6 vehicles on the lot. And so I cited him for having
You haven't
a
cited.
violation, okay? And subsequently, in the last several weeks, he has been cleaning up the property.
Yes, that is true.
Okay.
I have a metal dumpster there, and I've been going through things I really don't need.
Can I finish?
I'm
I didn't
sorry.
interrupt you.
I'm sorry.
So he did bring in a big dumpster, like a 30-yard dumpster, and it was filled to capacity, and I assume he emptied that, and he has a second. He admitted to me when he came into the office that he got overzealous with collecting stuff.
That can happen.
Okay, and so what I said to him is, I had Kerry call the other day, and I said, Kerry, he's got all the violations moved. I said, call Andrew and tell him if he marks the spot where the building's gonna go, and there's no violations, I will come
I agree with that.
and move forward.
I agree with that 100%.
So, what this all is about is, I cited Chuck Perez for a junkyard. The definition is in the book. It says any more than 2 cars. If you look on the aerial photographs, you'll see there's many more than 2 cars on the property. Now, he may have gotten rid of some of them, but he has not called me to make an appointment for the zoning permit. So, I heard no
I believe the
complaints
zoning
about,
permit is
I heard
filled
no
out.
complaints.
Building
I-
permit, you mean?
A zoning permit.
What zoning permit?
A zoning
Building permit.
permit is that where you're establishing to put the building will meet all the zoning and
It's a
setbacks.
building permit.
No, zoning permit.
The
It's a
building
separate-
permit is pursuant on the zoning laws.
Yes,
So if
but
the building
there
fits
is
into
no
the current zoning
violation of
laws.
zoning laws.
Well,
Well, not yet.
I don't know that for a fact.
That's,
I haven't gone out, I haven't been called to go out and look where the building is gonna be placed.
there seems to be a very simple solution.
Yes,
Plot out where the building is.
yes, it's a nice
Check
flat
it out.
area,
And issue the permit.
no
Was-
problem.
Well, I can issue the zoning permit, but what I'm asking for and what I suggested to Andrew was that he come before the ZBA and determine whether his use is a legal use or not. I'm not gonna make that determination. That's why he's here tonight.
So you wanna know if
If he's not selling more than 5 cars, that anyone had, like, you could sell 5 cars. When you exceed 5, then you need a dealer's license.
and you're saying that's a state law.
That's New York State law.
Yes.
So if you sell 5 or under, anybody can do that, to buy a car and sell it.
But then that would be a violation of state
Well,
law.
are you selling more than 5 cars a
You're
year?
not selling more than 5.
No, I'm not.
Then you don't need it, then you don't need it.
But are you saying that's the violation, is that he's selling automobiles,
Well,
or it's a junkyard?
If you look at that
Wait, who have you heard this from?
And the question
automobile,
if I have
rental or
hundreds
sales
of
is
thousands
not
of dollars.
permitted in an R5 district, I think that trumps whatever the state law is. That's our local zoning code.
Is it R5 or R1?
It's R3. And sales of automobiles is not permitted in R5, R3, R1.5, and hamlet
Retail
residential.
sales.
So that's why I'm saying it's a change of use. It's not an
The
area
thing
variance.
is, you're not selling them from the property, you're selling them on Craigslist. or
Of
eBay.
course, I don't have a for sale sign
Yeah,
come
right, you're
over.
not
No.
selling, it's not like a car lot.
No, and it's a very specialized
Like,
hobby.
like,
I
if you
cater
wanted to sell
only.
your car and put it on the Morning Digest, you have to do that, doesn't mean if you're a car dealer. If you do more than 5, then the state would
The state,
would consider the state law. So if it's under 5 and you're not selling them like, you don't have them lined up with the stickers.
Gary, that's not what our zoning code says.
Yeah, but the zoning code was written before the internet even came along.
1974.
So, yeah, so again, it was somewhat of an inconsistency.
I don't participate in retail sales where I have a sign.
Yeah, you don't have like a price
People
on
coming
it.
over and looking, no.
Sales
And
sign.
the people that would cater to what I would sell occasionally are specialized hobbyists, veterans. How many army jeeps do you see running around anywhere, except for mine in the parade? It's really not a gigantic market, it's a hobby.
The building, if you build a building, it should eliminate any outside storage,
Well, that was my hope, that it would be basically cut and dry. To avoid any future violation of junkyard, if you consider hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of invested junk, let's just say,
Well,
preemptively, hey, let me put up a nice big storage building and I'll put all that inside, preserve it, and then I'm clear. I don't have to worry about, oh man, there's a car sitting there, it looks bad. My property looks wonderful. Look at the pictures. You're welcome to come over. Howie's welcome to come over and look at the site. I have no qualms about that.
You
It's
want
just,
to show them pictures of what the site looks like?
he drives by my house every
No,
day.
you want to show the board?
Yes, there's pictures all right there. I mean, if you consider historic vehicles like that junk, if they're not washing machines and old bathtubs, they're 75 years old. But my goal was simply put up a nice storage building, keep everything indoors, and beautify the property, increase the tax base. I thought it's a win-win situation.
So you're gonna put these vehicles inside the building?
Obviously, why else would I need a building?
They have to be inside.
this is what you tore down, that's the old?
No, that's the ones on the left there. You see some old ones
Oh, I see.
there. Those are original buildings. They're useless. And the new building will go back there.
Yeah, what's this one?
That is another building on my property
Okay.
that is all the way on the other end. And that's another building that I refurbished. And I don't know, I just like to keep it. It's a demonstration of what my property overall looks like. Not to say anything negative, it doesn't look like Chuck's. I mean, it's in a country setting. My neighbors approve. I have 10 letters of recommendation from all of my immediate neighbors.
What's your phone number on Old Valley?
862 and 866.
Thank you.
There's 4 separate parcels.
I have 5 or 7 parcels altogether, yes.
So your reluctance to issue the building permit is that you would like a use variance, or you'd like to.
Well,
Like an interpretation.
Number one, he's got to show me where the building is going. We
Well,
have-
yes, I
That's
agree.
the main thing we're looking at,
Yes.
where this building's going, so why just stake it out and,
It's staked out, it's
Alright.
all leveled off, it's all ready to roll. The building has been ordered.
have you seen the site,
No,
Howard?
I drive by it every day, but I haven't been,
You can't
have
see
not
the
been
site.
asked to come out to approve the zoning.
It's like a really simple
so
thing.
you
no,
can't
no,
see
right,
the
so-
site because there's a huge mountain
There
in front
are-
of
It's
it.
a berm.
It's going
Alright, so
behind
why-
the berm. So it's the
There are
natural
There are
fence. You can't
objections.
see there's something there.
An earthen berm.
Yeah, it's a huge one, yes. I
I've
have
heard
no
from
problem
three,
with how it-
I've heard from 3 of the adjoining neighbors who all object to what's
You
going
have
on.
letters?
Yes, we have
You have
letters.
writing?
If I may ask which neighbors.
They'll come to the
those-
public hearing.
We have to.
I don't even,
Yeah, we have to have a public hearing anyway, right?
why do we need a public hearing, there's no variation?
No, well, we're not talking about a variance now, we're talking about the building, the building. He doesn't need a variance, he's not selling over 5 cars, so
Do
there's
you
no.
feel he needs a variance?
Why does he need
Are
a
you-
variance?
No, he doesn't
Use
use,
variance.
he
No.
doesn't need, he needs a use variance.
He has
That's
the
how I
proper-
see it.
Howard, can I
Setbacks,
ask
Yeah, then there is no
which
public hearing.
neighbors would be
No,
complaining?
to build the building,
You'll hear
we
from
gotta
the
see.
public.
Yeah.
I would imagine somebody
Right,
like
yeah.
Carl,
Right,
who's
all
the
within
farthest
compliance.
away
We
from
don't
the
have any, we
proposed
don't know
buildings.
where the building's going, so.
Right? It's the only guy who didn't want to sign my.
Any complaints that I get, I'm supposed to hold in confidence.
I understand. Okay. Well, I would imagine it's people, because I got a signed letter from all of my nearest adjoining neighbors, meaning 200 feet away, 200 feet away, 200 feet away. All those letters I have there are my closest neighbors. The only people who didn't sign, that I didn't even ask, are a quarter of a mile away. I believe 300 feet is
Alright,
the-
so all you need we need a site plan with a front, rear, and side yards. Is this-
Right, and if you're gonna get people coming to a public hearing, or an objections would most likely come from my immediate neighbors.
Alright, but the thing,
Well,
you have the
But
proper
if,
setbacks.
but if the
right,
proper
they should-
setbacks,
yeah.
there is no public hearing.
That's correct.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
No,
If-
it's a
if
matter of
you-
right,
if
there is
you
no
issue a
public
valid
hearing, there is no
building-
variance.
I'm determining that it's a change of use. It's not residential in
So-
nature. And
Let's see.
at least 3 neighbors have called me and objected to it.
And I have 10 letters to the contrary.
Okay,
so-
I'm stating
I
there is
think
no
we
change of
need a
use.
public hearing.
Okay, we'll need a public hearing for that, we would have to.
That there is no public hearing, you can make an interpretation that this is a pre-existing thing, that this has been going on. I think it probably predates code. What year did your code been adopted?
74,
74, early.
yeah, so that,
This is
argument
going on
probably
since
wouldn't
the
fly,
80s.
but still, I mean, if the use permit is required, we could do a conditional permit, conditional upon the building to the building.
Yes, that would be wonderful, because then, if the building is there, then if there is a junkyard per se somewhere hidden, at least all of that is in the building, problem solved. That's the way I look at it.
Well, no, you can't issue a use for in a residential zone, you can't do that.
No, storage building,
The storage building's totally different,
that's
not,
what I'm asking for.
that doesn't need a use, that's just
That's my
a,
point.
a building to put vehicles in, that's not.
He just happens to be storing cars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it's still a
exactly,
storage
right,
building.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's all,
That's
that's
all,
not
it's a
selling,
storage
as long as you're not selling more than 5 a year, you don't need.
I don't know, but just from hearsay from neighbors, there's stuff scattered all over the property.
Have you disclosed to the board the personal vendetta you have?
I have no personal.
You
vendetta.
Well,
have a history
let's
with
we're not
now,
interested in
let's not go,
It
let's
was
not
a
go
We
there,
don't hear.
let's not go there, let's try, we're here to try to resolve this.
Fine.
All right,
What
so,
do we mean?
and the building sounds like a good idea, the building has the proper setbacks, and and he's cleaning up and put everything inside and, you know, get it off. If the neighbors are complaining and everything's out of sight, that sounds like a major improvement.
And
I
in any
would
case,
believe
if we are being asked to rule on a use variance, we need an application
Right,
for use.
and we can't.
What kind of variance would I ask for?
What is the variance
Residential zoning,
you
you
need?
can't do it.
He's asking for a
A
use
variance of the
That's what I
zoning
determined.
laws if it is determined that you are in
Okay,
violation.
you would be making that determination.
Yes.
That would be the interpretation I'm looking for.
Right, But we haven't asked for that.
No. Well, that's what we're here today for, is the interpretation, as I understand.
Well, this is, I think it's one of the situations we've had several times before where the regulation came after and people were trapped in a situation where if it's before zoning,
I don't know this, Keith, I don't know that this is before zoning.
you know,
Yeah, but even still, there is
Well,
no,
zoning started in '76.
there is no violation cited properly. There is no appearance ticket. So currently, there is no notice of a
I didn't
specific
issue a
violation. You
ticket.
didn't, that's right.
I issued them a violation letter.
No, you didn't.
so-
That's not even a violation letter.
So we gotta get a site plan.
at this point, the violation.
We have a site
How-
plan.
You have a site plan,
We have
and
everything.
Howie has to go out there and look at it.
Sure.
That's sensible.
Yeah, that's okay.
Now, the fact that I've been doing this 35 years as a hobby and never had one complaint from anybody, doesn't that count for anything?
No, if you're not selling over 5 vehicles, why?
No, I mean, just because it's so terrible, just,
That's fine.
I try to keep my property tidy, never had any,
No
35
one's
years.
arguing that.
Well,
Not
the
3
answer
years.
is, yes, it does count for something, but
Should.
if there is a request for an area variance, we have to have a public hearing. If anybody
I
wants to
totally
come
understand.
and either support you or diss you, that's their prerogative, but we haven't had a request, we haven't had a formal application
For variance.
for an area,
Right.
for a use variance.
Right, and I have no idea what that
That's what I
variance
said.
would
So first,
be.
we
You
would
can't
be,
give a use variance in a, what's it, R1, what's it, R1,
R-
3 or 4?
R3.
3 or 5?
R3.
You can't have a repair shop in an R3. Only
but there is no repair shop.
Right, and there is none. We
I mean, that's
determined
my
that, there is no
point.
repair
So,
shop.
I mean,
And he's not selling more than 5 cars, so that's a moot point. We
Gary-
need to talk about that.
So,
I didn't
can I
do-
just-
we don't
now
know
let
how
me
many
ask
cars
you-
he's selling.
Okay.
And we don't know when it was established.
Yeah, but the thing is,
there's a lot of
he
things you
can
don't
sell
know.
it.
How long have you lived on that road now?
privately, you can do that.
No, I do not run a commercial repair shop where you could come over and I'll check your tires. No, I don't do, I work on strictly historic antiques, and that's all I do. It's a hobby, and that's plain and simple. It's not, I don't have a corporation, it's not on my
You're
income
working on your own-
taxes.
You're working on your own vehicle.
I'm working on my own vehicles.
So that's not a reason.
So, I mean, before anyone can apply for a variance, we need an interpretation from you. Some variance,
We just,
and what the variance would
we
be.
just stated what, you don't need a variance. You don't need a use variance. You might need an area variance for the building.
Yes, but
Depending on
that's it.
what size
But
the
that's
lot
it.
is, how big the building is, and how big the lot is, but we don't know. We
Right,
don't have
but-
that.
but
That's
not-
not in front of us.
Yeah, but not this. Doesn't relate.
No, that's the zoning law, that
Yeah.
relates, if it does in fact relate,
But
and that may in fact be a determination.
That could be a determination you make, which will tell us what we have to seek a variance for.
If it's a hobby,
Yeah.
he's working on his own vehicles,
Right.
You don't need anything.
I don't see a problem with it.
I think the only thing these
So the
vehicles.
only issue is,
And if the building will get this inside, then I'd say go for it.
That's
So-
it. I'm glad
but
to
we
hear
still,
that.
we still need a public hearing,
no,
For the buildings?
To what purpose?
because it's a change of use.
No, it's not.
It's residential.
It's just a
in
building.
No,
residential.
it's just putting a garage in.
It's just a storage building.
Garage.
It's more than that, and I think it would be fair to the neighbors who live adjoining.
The two
to this.
neighbors?
The two
After this,
neighbors
10
actually
neighbors'
support my
signatures?
building. Read the
Yeah,
letters.
yeah, those two neighbors, he should have an opportunity to speak.
No, I understand that, but those are the farthest ones away, the ones that are the
The
closest
closest
are in
and
the
most
material.
effective
Outside of
you're-
that-
They're allowed, they'd be allowed to speak.
Everybody-
I think we should have, I think we should vote to have a public hearing on the matter
I think,
What do we vote, what are we having a public hearing on?
for a change of use.
there is no
But
change.
we don't have.
There is no
that
change of
You
use.
can't change application for change.
Well,
Change of use.
Okay, maybe,
Who would that come
maybe
from?
the zoning board, maybe my office didn't get the proper paperwork in time. I thought this was gonna be an informal discussion where
So
Andrew
far,
could
yes.
present his case.
So,
But
Right.
I still think it's, I mean, I think the public deserves the
I mean,
opportunity
you've
to
heard
come
what
and
they're
talk.
saying, your
Where
animals
is
is
Mark?
showing.
You've already threatened me with a lawsuit.
It will happen if necessary.
All I'm asking for is a 30 by 50
So
steel building
take
to
it out
store.
and
You're
call
looking to
me.
put up a garage. Forget about use fair. You're looking to put up a garage.
That's it.
That's okay, that's.
That's it, that's
So
all I'm
you
here
need
for.
paper- All you need is paperwork on a building permit and
Everything's
the
done.
site plan.
Everything's
How he has
done
to
except for a
inspect it.
site
You
inspection.
see what, how big the lot is and how
Yes.
big
The site plan is not complete,
All right, so once it's complete, we can look at it
and there's no violations,
Yeah.
but we still have, I mean, I've witnessed many vehicles going into that property.
Oh, yes, I do agree, I do
I can
agree.
only
and I-
imagine that it would be stacked higher than the roof of the house if you kept them all. So somewhere, they're going somewhere.
They are, can I explain to you?
It's, I'm
Oh,
thinking,
I'm gonna
so
explain.
he's operating a business in an R5, in an R3, excuse me. And I think it's a change of use from a residential property. And I think, why should he be afraid to come in and ask for a determination and let the neighbors speak?
That's fine, that's why I preemptively got letters from all of my closest neighbors in support. I could have gotten 100 letters from people all over the place that know me, but I got the ones from my closest neighbors. There'll always be one neighbor that doesn't like you for some reason. That could happen. But I got the majority of my immediate neighbors in support in writing. Vinnie Bernstein, even though he's not a neighbor, supports. The sheriff of Greene County supports. Sheriff of Earlsville County supports. DEP supports. And all of my adjoining neighbors love what I do, and they love what I do for the veterans. If I had all the veterans in here, I doubt you would hear a negative comment about, oh, that Andy, like, he shouldn't be doing that stuff. We don't want parades. We don't want to commemorate. You know what I mean? I'm thinking I'm doing a small service to the community by participating. I don't have a sign out front that says, used Chevys for sale. No, I'm asking simply for a building where I can protect my collection further and avoid a future too many unregistered cars outside, which after 35 years hasn't happened miraculously. They didn't just come in last week. They've been there forever.
What filled up the dumpster?
I went through stuff that I didn't really need, scrap metal.
And where was it stored?
The sheds.
The sheds that I tore down to put up the new building.
How
Did
we
you
let
get a
it
demolition
go.
permit?
No, I didn't. I didn't need it, they were caving in.
Pick it up.
I'm thinking of making a move in the right direction.
It's up.
A nice building to store everything indoors, so there's nothing outside, because why would you leave antiques outside to deteriorate further?
These
And
vehicles
about
are
the-
a lot of money.
The building sounds like you.
I have no problem with the building.
Fine.
I have no problem. I tried to steer Andrew through this process so that the ZBA could make a determination. And
Well, it's apples and oranges if you're saying, I'm not trying to. I'm looking to put up a building to store my collection.
And you're
Oh,
telling
but
us
but
you
now
want us
now you
get
have to run
variance
stuff
for a
around and get a
junkyard, which is
violation
illegal.
2 months
Or for a
later.
car
The
dealership,
cure for
which
the
is
violation
illegal.
is the
It's
building.
ridiculous.
Correct? The cure for the violation is the building.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
it's
the building
the
won't say
use.
you-
I
the
think we
building
need
won't
to
say
get
you
some
can-
impact from the community about what kind of use is going on there. I don't think we can just take it from Andrew. Everything he's saying may be true,
It's in writing.
but other people are saying something different.
You can find a bad apple everywhere to say something.
My opinion is go ahead, build the building. But that isn't gonna save you from the violation. And if you can determine,
That can be a separate issue.
if you
Yeah.
can
But
determine
so
that he's selling,
the violation is a change of use in an R3 district, and I think you need a public hearing to determine.
Don't forget
Can we
it's a
just
separate
call a
lot.
public hearing like at random? I mean,
No,
don't we need
no,
to be
no,
acting upon?
It's a separate lot. The building is going on a separate lot than any other activities. This is just an empty lot, nothing goes on there.
So
Does
there-
your office want to generate an application for a use variance? Otherwise, I don't see how we can go
we
forward.
need.
Well, I could
We
generate
would
an
be the ones
application.
to have to apply for it, but there's no variance needed. It's an interpretation.
You can't give a use variance in R3. And
Well,
you just
well,
said
technically we
he's
can,
not-
but it's very difficult to do.
Right, he's not selling more than 5 cars, so he doesn't need it.
Okay, well-
It's simply an
I don't have a
interpretation.
service station, it's not commercial.
proposed.
Well, no, we can consider a deal.
Yeah.
And then you say that you said he's selling cars, if he considered a deal, you gotta sell more than 5 cars. Then you consider.
You know, if you go down
You're
the
not
list of
selling more,
barriers,
you're not
of
considering.
things he's even checkmarked, which is not an appearance ticket, it's clear we're not,
I didn't issue him an
that's right,
appearance ticket.
it's, I said it's not
The
an
procedure in
appearance.
New York State is you issue a letter of violation and the recipient
There
has
is no
30 days.
specificity,
No,
there
there
is no
is,
nothing.
excuse me. Then the recipient of the letter has 30 days to get rid of the violation.
Right, I
After
could
30
get rid
days,
of any violation
violation's
if there
not
were
remedied,
one, if I had a
then
building
it's
to
an
put
order
it
to
into.
remedy.
So he's
So
looking to
technically, he
remedy
gets
it.
60 days.
But in 2
Yes,
months,
Get the building right.
He's preventing the cure.
I was
He's
trying to
letting
prevent the
go.
violation, if there ever was any.
But Andrew, you already had a violation.
No,
No, that is
no,
not
There was
true.
never a violation on that property.
How
We
come I
held
wasn't
that up,
issued any
and then-
violations?
And then issued it after.
The violation was issued 2 months after I applied for the garage
Did
permit.
you
All
have,
because you're pissed off about the Ponsic water thing. Why don't you tell everybody what you're really mad about?
Okay, let's leave that out of it.
No sense.
I asked for a bill, I
wait
asked
a
for the
second, wait a second, no, let's,
Okay.
let's put it back in, because your lawyer brought it up. He came up to my office, threatened that he was going to sue me for lots of
There will-
money.
I know, I said there will be a lawsuit.
And, yeah,
There
that's
will
what he
be.
said.
That's your
There
problem.
will be.
But what is the violation in
Would we
question?
rather just get the building built and not
Yeah.
sue anybody?
This
and-
Yes,
is, I said this is silly.
You hear-
Plain and
we're trying-
simple.
We're trying to tell you guys. what
Let's
you need
put
to
up
do.
a building, put
I
the
said-
said violation into the
He's already.
building,
does
have
have-
Howie come and
It's
inspect,
costing him,
and
it's
see if we
costing
can
my
pursue
client a
further
lot of
action
money to
against
store
me.
this thing because
But if
of
everything
delay.
is
He's
in
already won,
compliance.
it's costing him
Speak
money.
one at a time,
Yeah.
so.
My opinion is let him build the building, but then you keep on him
If there's any,
If you can prove he's selling cars or he's operating a business, he's not gonna have to have a variance.
Andrew, when you came in and filed for the zoning permit,
Yes.
building permit, were there unregistered, unroadworthy vehicles stored outside your property?
well, they were moved out. of-
Outside on your
Yes,
property?
yes. But they,
That's a
okay,
violation.
But not
But no,
on the
but there's
property
a
that
number-
you're-
there's a
Not even on-
number-
Not on the property where the permit is.
there's a
issued.
number,
That's what cracks
there's
me
a
up.
number of vehicles you are allowed to have on
And
your
they're
property that
antiques.
are unregistered. If you read
And
the
they're
code,
moved out of his shed.
junkyard,
More than two.
junkyard refers to vehicles no longer intended to be used on the road. All of my collection that's expensive is intended to be used on the road. It's not junk.
Okay, please. What?
Yeah, that's not true.
You need to say the determination of this board is that he's not in violation of he's not in a use violation.
That's the way it seems. But I would let him, it's like I suggested before, the building's incidental, what it is issues. So what I feel is let him build the building. And then you
I don't
And
have
then
any
you
problem with
you-
building the building.
then you.
But he has to go through the proper channels. He has to get a zoning permit first, which he hasn't done.
Well, no, that's, I'm
I
not saying
believe,
giving.
I believe I
That's the two of you guys get
did.
together.
I
That's
believe
easily
I
done.
did.
Easily done.
He has to, just like Chuck, he's gonna have to follow the procedures.
Yes, he's not gonna be allowed to have any, vehicles that are not roadworthy stored outside on the property.
All right.
There is
There
none.
isn't
There is
anything on
none.
that property.
If he builds the building, then they give
Get
him
your
the place to
property
put them
numbers straight,
inside.
Mr. McGowan.
It's-
Can we
it's-
get
it's a
an
catch-
interpretation that
And here's the point.
It's a catch-22.
Yes.
The fact that the property's been there is pre-zoning.
I don't know
So
that.
he's- well,
I do.
I don't know that.
I do.
The use may not.
Well, that I don't know.
Let him
Just
finish.
The thing being is the regulation, he got caught with a regulation that was after the
I
fact.
got caught with a violation.
If it is a hobby and he's taking care of it, it would be totally incidental to the building. If permit issued, let him follow his applications, let him build the building, and if you still feel there's a violation, and you need to.
Go inspect the property.
Then that would
Well,
be,
I
you need to
think-
continue that backwards.
I think he probably has cleared up a lot of the violations that were on, because he's had like I said,
Three
30 yards,
dumpsters.
30
Dumpsters.
That's even more in his favor, so.
Right, I was preemptively trying to get the building
I don't think we
done.
should give him a blank check, but if he wants to build a building, let him build the building and see if he can.
Come for an inspection afterwards.
If he can't,
No, I have to come for an inspection.
Oh, no, but I mean, if there was going to be subsequent
as far as
violations.
the use, if you can, you have time to decide if you can prove that he's selling retail or whatever you need to do.
Mhm.
I know what's happening, I got caught in it, I went through this whole thing with the contractor, Joe.
Yeah,
You know,
Well-
I had 25 people.
that's why I think we need to have a public hearing, because some of the neighbors claim that they have proof.
But I think
Let me just-
It's a bunch of nonsense.
there has to be some justification, an application, or has to be some reason for it to go to a public hearing.
Well, I'm willing to accept what you're saying, that he'll get a zoning permit, put up the building, there's nothing stopping him from that if there's no violations on the property.
There is no violations on that property.
There's no
Let me ask
violations.
Mr. Ponce,
Yes, sir.
these vehicles that are parked outside, are they in permanent storage outside, or is these just things you're moving out of your garage for a day or two or a week? I mean, do you have?
I know, they
20
move,
vehicles?
they move, it's not like just a wheel and engine, no, it's a complete vehicle. And I had decrepit old buildings from the 70s there where I kept stuff tucked away, the roof is leaking. I said, I'm tired of this, tore them all down, neatly covered up all my collection in hopes that the building will be done 2 weeks ago, which it is done, and it's waiting, I'm paying storage fees for it. I preemptively applied for the building permit to avoid problems in the future. This is a big building, I can put everything I own in there, and I can grow flowers all over my property. You can't see anything from Little Valley Road that looks anywhere remotely to be garbage. I have pictures of everything. If you fly by helicopter, isn't it true that a cure for, let's say, a violation of junkyard or too many cars is a fenced-in area or an enclosed building? It's in the code.
It can be a fence.
Right, so I'm trying my best. So I thought the best way is an enclosed building. So I'm going the extra step, increasing the tax base, increasing my property value aesthetically and functionally. And I welcome you to come check out the site. We'll measure it out. I welcome you to do that. And
Did Kerry call you the other day and tell you that?
yes, she did. She said he would like to come over. And I still have the dumpster there. It's still a mess of like stuff laying around. I figure I'd clean it all up, throw it away. When the site is ready for inspection, you're welcome. And even after the building is put up and my collectibles are inside, I welcome Mr. McGowan to come over and search for other violations. But I'm trying my best.
You're saying the building's in storage, it's a prefab building?
Yes, it's a prefab metal building. It's not a repair shop. There's no electric, there's no heat, nothing. It's a tin building, like a Quonset hut of sorts. So that's really all I'm asking. It's plain and simple, and I think it would help everybody.
And it's dark brown and dark green.
Oh yes, and it blends in perfect. I kept the roof line as low as possible, 6-foot walls, so that you can't even see it in the back.
Do you want to see it? I have everything from Carolina Carports where the vehicle.
There's a 3/4 inch folder of engineered plans. These guys do these all the time.
No, I think.
There's not gonna be any deficiencies there.
If he continues violations.
I was there, we called him and said,
Yeah, but
well,
he has to fill out the application and file the procedure.
the plot plan is not complete.
Well, that is my fault maybe because I'm not an expert on those. I just drew like a cursory. I took it from the tax map. I drew where the building's gonna go. I measured the distances to my neighbor's
What do
property
you have
line.
the front and rear and side yards?
I have that, and
How
it,
would you do that?
well, I have the measurements with me.
This is.
Well, how will determine?
Yes, I do it. I
Rear
understand
and
that.
side.
Right.
I mean, if
I
you-
have
if you-
60
if you-
feet to
if
my
you need a
nearest
variance
neighbor.
For one of those, then you have to come back to us, but if you conform to all that, then I would just give you a permit.
That's great.
You just
So-
need a surveyor's, study to give the building permit if it's
Yeah,
in
he's got
compliance.
the site plan, you got the lot line, and you see everything.
I'm 65 feet from my nearest neighbor one way, 100 feet the other way, and myself is the next one.
Up in Woodland Valley, what's it, was it 25 feet? In Woodland Valley, what's,
I think in
Our
our
setback?
case, it's, I believe it's either 50 or 75.
up in Woodland Valley, and what's the rear, like 50?
It's usually the same as the front,
Okay.
So 50-foot setback?
25?
25.
Yeah, as long as he's got that.
That's perfect, because I have
Doesn't
100,
have to come back.
60, 60, and
He's
100.
got that, he's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's up to you, I mean, you
I measure.
gotta go
Well,
there and
make
look
sure
at
you're
it.
legal by,
Verify.
obviously, the next step is for each of you guys to
Yeah,
get
you
together.
guys gotta do, you guys gotta like,
We'll get
get
together.
together.
Okay.
We'll get together, how you can check out, I'll, mark it off and take some measurements, and that's it. It's a step in the right direction.
And no threats, you know. you gotta-
What kind of threats?
Let's just say everybody's.
Your lawyer threatened me
Yeah, you
to
gotta-
sue me, and it was gonna
Alright,
cost
that's-
me a lot of money for maintenance.
all.
Well, that's what
decisions.
lawyers do.
All right, okay.
Well, you would be suing him, you'd be suing the town.
Actually, I'd be suing him.
But if Howie were acting outside the scope of his duties, he would be personally liable.
But the thing is, you should, let's drop
It's
that.
part of
It's a different case.
Let's stop all that.
And let's move in the right direction, how about that?
Anyway, I think we have a resolution.
Like I said, my opinion is, go ahead and build the building. So he's gonna keep an eye on you, and if.
And Howie's welcome to keep an
You
eye
have
on
to
it.
see Mr. McGowan.
Doesn't exonerate you
Coming
from
from
anything.
permit.
If there is a future,
You'll have
There's
your
a
permit,
future.
and if he,
We'll address it.
if he finds your retail sales, he's gonna bring you.
That would be a different issue altogether. It has nothing to do with the building.
if there's a future violation of zoning code, we'll address that in the future. If there's a
Exactly.
violation.
That's exactly the point I was trying to make. The building is one thing. If I start selling cars and boats and
You're not gonna have.
that'll be a
you're not
different.
gonna have any balloons, like a roller balloon.
I'm not gonna have the one that. Well, as soon as I start doing that, that'll be a totally different meeting, a totally different violation. Nothing to do with the building.
But we need no variance.
No. If he's not selling more than 5 cars, you don't need a variance.
Very good.
Can I ask a question? At this time, where are we at? So we don't need a use variance then?
The determination was that we do not need to use
Okay,
variance.
and
Unless your office wants to issue one, but I think before
So do
you
we
do
still
that, you
need-
guys should get together and build a building.
do we still need to issue a zoning permit then?
Yes.
Or-
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That application is still
You
valid,
still need
isn't
a zoning permit, you still
Not
need a
complete.
building.
Not complete?
And I'm asking people to, especially if there's small structures, not the size of the principal house,
Okay.
that I come out and inspect.
I have no problem. with that.
There was a
No problem.
building put up when I first came into the office that required 4 variances.
Uh-huh.
Previous building inspector had done away with the zoning permit application. I reinstituted it because I saw that problem going on.
Okay.
So that's how this all started. And
Yeah,
also,
I agree with the zoning.
Yeah.
There's no reason why not to.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for your time and for your understanding, I appreciate that.
Thank you, good luck.
Thank you. Okay, too sore. All right.
Are you gonna contact Chuck, or you just gonna wait for him to?
So you mind if I do drive by on your property and try to do it?
yeah, well, he stopped in my office.
Stop by, I'll show you where I did with the vehicles I removed from the corrected building, moved it to a separate lot. It's not in
He
violation.
came to me
If this lot out of
after I
violation,
issued him the
it
ticket
was.
in court, and
Now that
he came
there's
to me and
nothing
he
out
said
of lot
that
that's a violation, the building is.
he was gonna follow through on it.
Put these
and he
vehicles
wanted to be
back
on the next
into the
ZBA
building,
meeting,
that was no
which
violation anyway.
ended up being
Logic.
canceled.
Yeah.
So we
If I knew
rescheduled
that
for
it
this
was gonna
one,
be something big,
and
I would have left it the way it was.
my assumption was he was gonna
trying to
show up.
improve
I
my
don't know why he
property
didn't.
and preserve my collectibles, not the opposite.
Yeah, we
Well,
really
it should
can't
be a headache, we don't have any.
do anything
No,
with
I-
him being here.
It's just
You knew
technicalities,
that
that's all
he
it
was
is.
supposed to
As
appear.
long as the measurements, the setbacks are
Because I
correct.
did call him.
It's a move in the right direction. I mean, you know, I never had a
And
good
that's all that
building
we
there
can
for
do.
storage. It was
Maybe
just
they'll do it in
screwed
recovery.
with trees, and then my dad built it in the 60s. And it looked like, junk.
Yeah, and
So
again,
Mr. Fonsick,
the
the
way I
water
talked to you, I
project.
think
Yes.
he made
Pop is
well,
good.
he
He's 97 years old. now.
grandfathered in, so he still has to comply.
It's all right.
Where is he?
Yeah.
He's here.
Yeah,
He lives
that's
on
what I
that
say,
lot.
that's the same thing I said to Chuck, so he has to comply.
But this, you know, the process I'm
You
not
can't,
familiar
you
with.
can relieve from
But
that
it's,
anyway.
you know, we got comment there. I have the zoning application filled out, and I have the building permit filled out. The only thing that hasn't been done is how we just
They've
not fill
changed,
out.
I looked through this book.
Made sure that my measure was what
With the repair
Well, that should be an easy solution.
Well,
Exactly.
that's all we do here is deal with the technical issues that we have.
Right.
All this repair stuff.
And they had to be
Mark,
rebuilt or inspected, right?
You have my
Yeah,
number on there
there's
somewhere.
people that
Welcome to
definitely
my
might be
field.
repaired,
Look and
who
see.
are licensed in New
But
York
then
State
again,
repair shop.
I'm a big
And
car
your
collector.
intent is to move vehicles in and out, and then you're allowed to
And
have
then you
a
place the vehicles. So, you know, there's no law against storing properly.
wrecked or
Old
junk
paintings,
cars,
you go like stamps.
cars that are not roadworthy.
What's the difference between us?
Any more than two
Yeah,
is
you know
considered.
perfectly well, and
Where
we're
he's-
now, it's one of those.
Yes.
Maybe it's sensitive parts of the so you can now play sensitive parts of the tax, you know your neighbors, so.
The association of towns where
Pretty
they
good, you know, that you could,
actually
you could ruffle some.
operating.
Of course, but you, guess what, I haven't ruffled feathers in 35 years. Not one violation, and not one phone call, 35 years, there's something to be said for it, isn't there?
Okay, so let's, he's listed as a repair shop.
How we get the building up, as it's done,
Well, that's basically why it's that size, because I can really
Him
take
being-
stuff from there, there,
Him
there.
being-
But everything in one place,
Part of the
my
business.
flowers and shrubs everywhere else.
And your former car
You
dealer,
need it
right?
in the time frame.
Win-win
I
situation.
don't know.
Okay, I don't know,
He-
those are.
So what's the next step?
He pulls him off,
Then for the two of you guys to get together.
Site plan.
I have the site plan,
so you gotta show where.
mark it out.
The front yard, the rear yard, and the side yard.
Try to investigate that.
The lot, how big the lot is.
I couldn't find
Okay,
it.
so
You determine that you're in compliance.
on setbacks.
He'll be able to tell you everything.
I know.
You don't have it, you don't have enough for the front yard or the side, then you gotta come to us for a grant, side yard, front yard.
You have something I can draw on? Because in other words,
No, you gotta go get, we'll have Don,
come over here.
have Don,
Storage fee.
I own 100 feet here, 100 feet here, 65 here.
You can look into it.
This is all my property. Diagonally here, I own like 40.
Changes.
so you need one of these.
I have this.
Okay, then,
But look at this.
That's what I think that is being about.
This isn't mine.
That's somebody else.
There's one diagonal measurement.
Andrew, just so you know, if you own two parcels next to each other, the setback requirements are still in effect.
Really?
Yes. Even though if you join the two of them together, then there is no. But if you own this lot, lot
I
A
own that lot.
and lot B,
Separate.
there's still a zoning code that establishes.
What is the setback?
But mutual code ownership may induce us to give you.
I understand that. What would you
then you
say?
have to do both. If you don't have the setbacks on that lot, then you have to
No,
come
you
back
have to
to
come in for a lot line
Maybe he
adjustment.
does, but we don't know that.
Andrew, I don't have the whole. There's 8 zoning districts, I believe, to R3. I believe it's 50 feet in the front here and 25 feet on the side.
Right, that'd be great, because that is, I mean, make that point.
And you also have to locate any other structures on the site, the principal building, and any other accessory.
Right, the size of the other buildings, and then
Yep.
you might need a density.
Yeah, because
That's the issue with the density.
You get too many
You have
buildings.
to figure it out, you know, I
You
mean,
know, I think when you were tearing buildings down, you should have paid attention to the zoning because you have a right to rebuild them
On the same
on the same footprint.
I left the footprint of the original building, it was all cracked, so I patched that concrete, so that's there, but it's just cut off where I wanted to make it longer, so I didn't proceed without permission.
Your two contiguous lots, if you have a problem with a setback, you can come
We can work that out.
So I have an interesting, up in the McKinley Hollow Road, somebody took a house down, and they're rebuilding a new house on the same site. And the DEC just sent me a letter that they're in violation of the 100-foot setback from any water course.
You know, initially they wanted that to be 500 feet. But
Just not every house.
I don't think,
we all have to move out of here.
Yeah, it's like in here,
I do have a
there's
water
a law
course.
gives
I
you.
do have a water course.
Like if it's a
10
damaged
feet
building,
from
fell
the
in,
building site.
burnt, collapsed.
But it's not a
They can build it back up.
listed, it's like a drainage, that
Yeah,
is a
but
seasonal.
no, I just got a letter from CEC saying that he's within a hundred.
At least that's what the DEP told me.
Pre-existing.
Yeah,
It's not on the map.
I don't think that
Yeah,
would
if I
affect
knocked it
the,
down.
It's not like Woodland Valley Stream.
but you might want to consider going through these flash floods we have.
Don't move the stream.
Oh,
away.
no.
Might be,
But if there's a
But
huge
he's on the other
berm,
side,
there's
we should move to
a,
adjourn.
there's a, there's a
Right
huge
side.
Yes.
Excuse me, can we adjourn the meeting and then
Yes.
talk after?
Yes. Can we adjourn, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Okay.
Second.
Oh,
should be-
no, we don't have minutes in the last meeting.
Okay, no. Okay.
we didn't have that.
Yeah, there hasn't been a meeting since October, so I don't know.
All in favor of adjournment?
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I thought it was really unclassy to threaten lawsuit. No, not all of it too.
There's no worries there, no worries there.
If Kerry was in the office,
You don't have something else that's going